Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Grow Dental Podcast. I'm here with Luke and Finger, and we have an awesome guest today, Ms. Abby Howell at Southern Roots Dentistry out in Shreveport, Louisiana. So to kick things off, Abby, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got into dentistry?
My background is actually in speech therapy. I'm a speech therapist by trade, and so I was very interested just in communication in general. I had some friends, I was looking to make a change for my current job, and had some friends that were starting a dental practice, and they were like, why don't you come on with us and help us get this thing off the ground? I thought, why not? I can take a chance and see how this goes. So I jumped into dentistry, not really knowing much about it at all. Later, like years later, my sister actually became a dentist and came on and works with us now. But I just loved the field once I got involved with it. And it's a great industry to be in. It's a great industry for women to be in. I love the people that I work with, which I know y'all can probably say the same. When you find a special group of people that are motivated and want their business to grow and thrive, and everybody's pulling the cart in the same direction, it's fun to see, the success that your hard work can bring. And so it's just been a fun ride. So that's how I started there. I've been here for 8 years. When we started, it was myself working in the office, and then we had one assistant and 2 doctors, and we hung a shingle. We did not have one patient. And we started there, and now all those original people, 4 people, are still with us.
Oh, wow.
8 years later, and we have grown to 5 practices in Northwest Louisiana and 50, almost 60 team members and 8 doctors. So it's been a really fun ride, and we have learned as we have grown just how to scale and grow from people that are much smarter than us. We do a lot of leadership training, management training. We're always asking people who are bigger and better than us how they did it. Working with you guys, we're always looking for experts in areas that we don't know much about to help us grow and be better.
That's awesome. When you first started in the practice, were you right into like a management role, or did you start in a different part of the practice?
I was really everything. I was front desk, I was phone calls, I was checking people out, I was doing marketing, I was HR. I did it all. So it was really great experience because I've really moved through every position in the practice. So I know a lot about, all the wheels that turn to make the practice go, which has been great experience for me to get kind of to the position that I'm in now.
So as you've seen this practice grow from just a few of you to now 5 practices and 8 doctors, like what were kind of the big tipping points along the way? Like there was that we just started and then we got to whatever that is, maybe a million or over a million in production. Then there was probably some sort of choke point, and then we grew to another practice, another doctor. Like what were kind of those big boulders along the way that you learned as you were growing this into such a successful practice?
Yes, and we even though we have 5 physical practices, we've purchased probably 8 practices along the way. We have just absorbed into our current practices, and some we have opened an entirely new location.
Hmm.
We're really big on learning from our mistakes, and we liked to reflect a lot and say, how could we have done that better? We make lots of checklists and, notes as we go. I think the main thing is, getting good people on your team. And then when you have the right people in place, the magic happens, and getting them trained well. As you grow locations, that definitely is a challenge because you can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's where really good training comes into play. and good communication techniques. And we're really big on training and having a healthy practice culture. Even though we have 5 practices, we want to maintain a boutique dental practice feel. And so with that, we're big on we train our culture, our company motto, our company values, and we hire people that we think will embody that.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you made early on that you learned from?
One of the biggest mistakes I think we made is trying to do our online marketing ourselves.
How'd that go?
Even though you're a good consumer of Facebook, we all feel like we know about Facebook or social media because we're all consumers of it. Being on the actual ad side of it and making sure that your dollars are well spent and doing what they need to do for you is not something you want to jump into yourself without any knowledge about how to do it. And so I think that was probably a big mistake. I think there were a lot of wasted dollars there that we were just kind of like tiptoeing in. And I had somebody tell me once, and I thought this was great advice, that if you're going to do marketing, you really do have to jump in with 2 feet and really put your money where your mouth is and invest a substantial amount, or you're not going to see any return.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, because if you just tip your toe in, you're not going to have a big response from that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. We see a lot of people who kind of have one foot in and they're spending just enough to kind of play ball, but it ends up becoming a waste. And so then they start to believe that digital marketing doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's a bad cycle.
Yeah. And it kind of puts you in a bad, I guess, kind of a bad mindset to some degree, because then you go into future relationships already thinking, well, this probably is going to end like the last one.
Exactly. So that would be, a mistake that I feel like we made. Also, I feel like combining 2 types of marketing is very successful. Like our favorite types of marketing are, of course, our hip ads, and then also our billboard marketing, because nothing says you're more like physically in an area than billboards.
Yeah.
People watch different TV streaming services. People don't necessarily listen to the radio anymore. They might, but they may listen to podcasts or a music streaming service, whereas like a billboard, you're not getting around having to drive from A to B. And so I think having, something that puts you physically in a region or area, plus combined with a different type of marketing, which I think social media is the best kind of digital marketing you can do because everybody has it, and it's in their hand at all times, is a great combination.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We started building out a community marketing course, and the reason why we find that the most successful practices we work with are very involved in the community, giving back to the community, going to events, hosting events, going to schools, referring offices, but then also that kind of out of home traditional marketing, whether it be sometimes direct mail, billboards. And you've probably seen this and even done this. A lot of practices will try and cherry pick, the parts of it that they want, and, to do it the right way. Certainly if you're always going to be private practice too, because private and corporate can be different, being involved in the community is really the foundation. And then the digital marketing really elevates that. So people who may have seen, Southern Roots Dentistry for years, traditionally in the community, involvement is now seeing it on social media, and there's trust around that brand. Whereas if I've only seen the brand online,
and I've never heard of you before,
yeah, it doesn't have that personalized connection.
Exactly. And we love to support, schools, kids' activities, all of that as well, because, our motto is faith, family, community. And we really
Mm.
try to embody that as individuals and as a company as well. And fun marketing. Like, you need your calling card, whether it's like direct mail or billboards. Like, people tell us all the time, we love y'all's billboards because we try to make them fun and memorable. And we mimic that sometimes as well in our digital marketing. We'll post them on our social media as well. But for example, when, during COVID, when Tiger King was real popular, we did a play on that and did, hey, all you cool cats and kittens, give us a call. That was one of our billboards. We've done some really fun ones with Christmas themed. We try to theme it with something that may be going on, in just, as far as like timing, like holidays, time of year, or maybe something that's viral that's going on at the time, or pop culture. We are constantly trying to kind of stay on the edge of that and make, ourselves, visual and
Hmm.
memorable around our region.
You mentioned core values, mission. How do you train your team on that? A lot of people, a lot of people don't even have core values and a mission, but then when they do, it's kind of on the wall, but not really lived out in the team. So what's your strategy with getting the team to really bought into that?
So we have a monthly meeting every month with every practice, and we try to coordinate where we're kind of doing the same main thing with everyone. Now, there may be individualized stuff among the practices that we need to address, but we really try to hit on those all the time in our monthly
Mm,
meetings. So, for example, we just care so much about having a healthy company culture. For example, this month we're having an Enneagram coach come in, and the whole
cool.
staff will take an Enneagram test this month. And then towards the end of the month, she'll come in and talk about the different Enneagram types and how those types interact with each other, the ones that work well together, the ones that don't work well together. And if they don't typically work well together, how do you combat that?
Hmm.
What are certain Enneagram types' strengths and weaknesses? So we really care about the mental health and of every individual that works with us and our company wide mental health and how we can keep that, because we think that if you can keep everybody in a healthy frame of mind, it can keep the workplace happy and healthy.
Which Enneagram are you? Do you know?
You know what? I don't know yet. I haven't taken my test. So we'll find out soon.
Yeah, I took one like 5 or 6 years ago and I was at 8, but that can also change as you grow and adapt
Yeah.
as well. So I'd be interested to retake it.
Yep. So in our mission statement, we have our like common things we say all the time. We say it's important to be like a chief repeating officer. We say the same things over and over and over again and apply them to different situations. But we some of our core values are to be clear is to be kind.
Mm.
Always being honest is the kindest thing, whether it's with patients or with each other. Don't take it personal. We never take anything personally. If someone's upset, whether it's a coworker or patient, we let that energy roll past us. We have all kinds of different sayings that we say, and they're posted in all of our rooms. And then oftentimes we'll do a huddle based on one of those and training the importance of it.
Well, obviously, you guys have built a very successful practice and only on an upward trajectory. But what I wanted to ask you about, Abby, is I remember the very first time we met, you, me, and Dr. Reed, and I asked, what kind of patients do you want to get in the practice? What do we want to market? What do we want to advertise? And you guys both point blank, period, full stop said, all we care about is new patients in the door, period. New patients coming in, getting established, exam cleaning, x-rays, bread and butter. And obviously, there's so much that you guys can offer. But where I'm going with this is, obviously, we work with a lot of orthodontists, and a lot of the dentists that we get to reach out to us, they always just want to advertise and market for like the big ticket right off the jump. Like we want to go right for implants. We want to go right for full arch. We want to go right for all on X. And And I talk to you guys and you're like, just new patients. That's all we care about. It's the smallest ticket, but we retain people well. And so I'm curious, with the number of providers that you have, the number of locations that you have, you don't need to share numbers or production or anything like that, but you guys obviously do extremely well. But advertising, like the lowest barrier of entry to come in, which is new patient getting established. I don't know if it's a secret sauce or what's the strategy where you guys are able to very effectively grow the practice with the small barrier of entry and the bread and butter, as opposed to always going right for the big ticket kill?
We know that if we can get a patient in the door, we can win them over. We're
Mm,
confident in that. And then whatever they need, we will provide. We're not trying to sell any particular service. We are going to customize everybody's treatment to what they need. And we provide so many different things. So I think just, we train on like Chick-fil-A's customer service and
Mhm.
the Ritz's customer service. We want
yeah.
to be like those companies. And we study how they do things and we do continuing ed on those things. And we know that if we can get somebody on the phone and get them, most importantly, in the door, that we feel that they're going to stay with us. And so that's why we're so just concerned about getting those new patient calls.
Mm,
So the secret sauce here is customer service and team training and internal culture and leadership. And you feel like when those parts of the equation are right, you don't necessarily have to feel like you have to go advertise and market for the most expensive things, because internally everything is so nice and tidy. Internally, the patient experience is so great. You're really betting on yourselves for the long term, that we just want to get them in the door, get them established with a new patient as a new patient. And realistically, the rest should take care of itself in terms of how we produce from there.
That is our secret sauce, I would say. And then, we depending on people that are experts in certain things like y'all are for marketing, y'all have changed the game for us because we knew if we could we have control over those four things inside of our practice that we feel so confident that if we can get them in the door, they're going to love it here. But we didn't know how to get those patients to call in. And so having a partner that can handle that part for you that you can trust, um, and having faith in the process, knowing that you may not get just spectacular results the first 6 months, that it's going to be a growing period before you start getting real consistent results. Um, and then we get to work our magic. So I think having a partnership like that is key.
you mentioned the human capital side of things, people, and how important people are. How do you attract the right people, and then how do you identify maybe the people that aren't the right fit early on to get them off the team?
We have a trial period for anybody that comes onto the
Mm,
team to see if we are a good fit for them and also if they are a good fit for us. We provide every kind of training opportunity that we can within that time period in order for them to have the best chance for success. We use front office rocks training material. We have an awesome onboarder who brings them on, makes it a fun experience, has them their favorite Starbucks or Sonic drink for their first day with a little swag bag from Southern Roots with some t-shirts and all that fun stuff. So we're trying to make them feel special, and I think at this point, we have established a reputation of a good place to work, but we don't tolerate, any kind of negative behavior, whether that be gossip in the
hmm.
workplace or, we have high expectations as far as behavior and being a good teammate and also, their work productivity. And both of those things are equally important to us. When we do our end of year performance reviews with our team, every year we do a performance review with everybody on the team. Those character traits that are so important to us, like honesty and being a good teammate, compassion, all those things are at the top of our score sheet. And then their actual work productivity things that are rated are at the bottom of our score sheet. And every time I sit down with them at the end of the year, I always say, these are the things that are most important to us because these are the things that are character. And then the things at the bottom, those will happen with training. And so I always start my end of year reviews with that because I want people to realize how important it is to be a good teammate, and then also be good at your job. They're equally
Mhm.
important.
If anybody has any questions, anyone watching or listening, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of us via my email, which I'm sure y'all can provide in the show notes,
Hmm.
or it's Abby, ABBY, at srdentistry.com.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Abby, for coming on and sharing valuable insight.
Oh, of course. It was fun. Thank y'all for having me.